Folks, you're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio no pictures live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the how easy it is for refugees once they get to the West as illegal alien immigrants, once they get to the West, to make a claim for refugee status. Effectively, the way it works is that they meet really no burden of proof other than making the claim and filing a report, a statement, making a statement and signing it in whatever language. And this is accepted as evidence. This is proof. And the state, the Western governments, have put it upon themselves, outside of the law really, in order to refuse or deny an asylum request or a refugee request. The state, the Western governments have put it on themselves they have to meet the very highest burden of proof, the highest of the high burden of proof, in order to deny it. So it's, to a large extent, it's close to a guarantee, a 99% guarantee to somebody that they'll get some sort of refugee status and refugee or asylum claim. Now, if they are rejected on the first pass, they have access to a vast network of free lawyers and interim accommodation and support and help from a bevy of NGOs. And they also have access to activist judges and activist tribunals that very rarely turn down the request for refugee or asylum status. Now, this is a source of constant irritation. If it's a genuine refugee, then sure. But which genuine refugee leaves the rest of their family behind in the war zone or the supposed war zone or in danger? They don't. They all flee together. But this is not what's happening. So it's a very unusual form of refugee claim. Similarly, these people are traveling an average of 8,500 kilometres and going through anywhere between 8 and 17 different countries, all of which they could stay and claim asylum, just to get to the rich, wealthy West. So this is obviously far from being a genuine asylum case, and obviously so. But anyway, I didn't realise sort of how sloppy it was and how much people take advantage of it. So now there's only about 10,000 or so Ukrainian refugees in Australia. And the refugee thing for the Ukraine was meant to be people who are in eastern Ukraine, in the war zone areas, up to and including Kiev. So now there's a shop, I don't know, several miles away from where I live, and I go to that shop sometimes. And there's a lady there, a youngish woman who's, I don't know, maybe about 25, I suppose, and she's Slavic. That was obviously so. I just assumed she was maybe Polish or Romanian or something like that. I didn't really think much about it. Her English was, okay. It was decent enough, I suppose. But she's got a job in a retail store, and a little surprised that she had this job. And she was obviously very different customs habits and that East European thing that they had, a hangover, I think, from the communist era, where they've got this rather devious and quite suspicious and underhanded way of going about things. Anyway, she's there, but a few days ago I ended up having a chat to her while sort of waiting. And given that I'm probably one of the few that's bothered to just exchange pleasantries and say hello and nice day today and that sort of thing. Turns out she comes from Ukraine and came to Australia as a refugee, and she's since somehow gained residency here. I don't know what form of residency, whether it's like a work permit or what, or a limited residency or residency for a finite period of time. I don't know. But now here's the thing: she lives, or the place she comes from in Ukraine is more than 1,000 kilometres from the battlefront. It's a small rural township in northwest Ukraine, sort of close to the Belarusian Polish border. So now it's nowhere near the train lines. It's nowhere near the main roads or any transit areas. So it's a quiet little rural retreat where life goes on as normal for them. There's not a whit of difference between before the war or after the war, it's just a very quiet little sort of farming community, and so that's where she comes from. But anyway, she knows people in Ukraine or relatives or people who came from the village that went to live in Kiev, and they realised there was some scam opportunities. If anything, these people are, because the black market was such a huge, or is and was such a huge area where the real business of buying and selling sort of goes on, that they're always got an eye. It sort of adds to the cunning and the deviousness of these people generally, because that's how their sort of lives are led. And they've got, and this is another thing, I've mentioned this in many videos, these people have no concept of, none of a high trust society. None. They just can't even comprehend it. So they think high trust society or people within a high trust society are just gullible. We're begging to be exploited and deceived and outwitted. We're begging for it. So they see high trust as not high trust, but it's just simple, naive, gullible people. Oh, we can run rings around you, you simple little fucks. But so it's a very, very different view on society, what constitutes social cohesion and trust and so on. So it became known in Ukraine that you could sort of hustle and you could get to the West, the rich West, and they give you free this, free that, free so and so. You can enjoy a higher standard of living than you could even dream of in Ukraine, and it's all handouts from these gullible, stupid white Western high trust people. So she decides she'll stand in line for a refugee spot, and now somehow she gets the lottery to come to Australia. So it's even paid for. So I don't exactly, did the Australian taxpayer pay for this? I don't know. So somehow she comes to Australia courtesy of someone else's expense. Because she's in a dangerous situation. She's a woman oppressed by evilness, those evil fascist Nazi patriarchal Russians. But she's over 1,000 kilometers away from that area, and again has nothing to worry about from that at all. And the Russians don't invade the whole of Ukraine anyway. The squabbles over that eastern portion of Ukraine. So anyway, she comes to Australia, and it's all paid. Doesn't cost her a penny, and but she thinks it's funny. She sort of, I don't know, this she seems to think she can just talk about this because I don't matter, or I don't understand, or I'm one of the stupid ones, or whatever. I don't know. But she says that her claim for refugee status is that she's in danger of, the Russians are coming. She's in the war zone. The bullets are flying, and I'm so oppressed by the Russians. All that sort of stuff. But she actually gives her correct address. So her address is this place in northwest Ukraine, 1,000 kilometers away from any shooting, and she realizes that if any of the Australian refugee officials or immigration officials or anybody who's processing the paperwork, the NGOs that always deal themselves into the game here, the activist NGOs, that if anyone looks at the address, and it would take them like 1 second to look it up on Google Maps, if they look at the address, they realize that she's nowhere near. She's not in any danger. She's nowhere near the danger, 1,000 kilometers away from any possible danger. If they do look it up, then they'll deny her refugee request. She's not a genuine refugee and never was. She's a fucking freeloader. And so anyway, nobody checks. Now, she thinks this is funny because the evidence was there. They could have conclusively proved in seconds she was no refugee. But instead, she she thinks it's, I outwitted them all, like, hey, that just proves my point that they're all gullible, dull-witted, stupid, and I'm the smart one. I'm the one that outmaneuvered them. I got the better of them. And this is sort of the mindset she has. But again, she takes this view, as many do, by the way, that a high trust society is simply a society of gullible, stupid people, rather than high trust that took hundreds, if not thousands of years to develop, and is now being squandered very, very quickly in the West. So she thinks she's not even appreciative. She doesn't appreciate the help that she's been given. She just thinks she outwitted and outsmarted everybody. That's what she thinks. So as a result, she doesn't, and she now sneers with contempt at people who are that stupid. So this is again this thing of, I don't appreciate you didn't give me anything. I just outsmarted you, and that's her mindset and her position there. And then she's been given a job as well that even her own admission she does not entitled to, and has done nothing to get. She's got no experience or knowledge of this. She was gifted this job but she again doesn't see this as help. She sees it as something worthy of contempt. That she was, if you people are so stupid, you want to give me things I don't deserve, then that just increases my contempt for you, which is pretty much her attitude. Now, her next step in the scam is she wants to date and get pregnant to a good local Aussie boy citizen. So she's got an anchor baby, so she has to leave. But here's the icing on the cake. Since she's got her residency, she goes back to Ukraine, to the village of she comes from, every 6 months, and she goes to swan around saying, look at me, I've made it, I've gone to the West, look at all the free stuff they give me, I've outsmarted them, I've outwitted them, I'm a big success. Now, success to these people you measure by how many people you can outsmart and outwit. If you can scam other people, then you're a success. Are you a success by hard work, getting a good education, being highly skilled or something? No. It's how many people you can outwit, how many people you can outsmart, how many people you can deviously, get them to part with their money or something like that. So, so she goes back to swan around that she's a big, look at all those silly Western people I outwitted and outsmarted. So she goes back. Now, again, she's surprised by this. She was a bit nervous the first time she went back to you after she'd been to Australia, because she thought these immigration officials will work out. I'm telling them I'm in mortal danger while I'm in Ukraine. The bullets are flying, bombs are dropping on my ass, and here I am going back for a vacation to the very place I say that I'm escaping from because of the huge dangers and the so on. But no one said anything. So she can go back. So she's been back, if I've understood it correctly, she's been back 4 times, and nobody has said, hey, hold on a minute. If you're a refugee escaping danger, how come you're going back? You've been back there 4 fucking times since you were given this refugee status, because you're in terrible danger. So this is to me illustrates quite clearly, illustrates the massive scam that this refugee asylum seeker industry, massive scam on a grand scale. Now, the interesting thing is she's someone who probably could integrate over time. She's got this Russian Orthodox Christian thing. Not that she sounds devout, she doesn't. And she could pass for anybody in the street. She's white, and her accent is thick, and again, she's got this hangover from the East European gig. But she's someone who probably could integrate if far more easily than, say, some brown person from a village in Middle East. She wants to marry into the local scene and that sort of thing. Unlike, say, Indians and the Middle Easterners that will only marry people from the village of their ancestors and so on. But nonetheless, this just illustrates the extent of the scam. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.